you mentioned Matthew Berry, obviously a pivotal icon when it comes to fantasy sports. What's it like working and learning from him?
It's fun. It's fun because he wild and I'm wild. And then we
Yeah.
got we got Connor and Jay who they a little more mellow back. That's probably why I'm not on every single day, because it would just be looking like two wild animals
I get it.
every day with me and him. But he hit me up one time in 2021. He was still at ESPN at the time, and he sent me one of the social videos I had done as a freelancer. I had just started at NBC Sports as a freelancer. He sent me it in the DM. He probably couldn't retweet it because he was still at ESPN.
Right.
But he was like, "Hey man, it's dope. Just keep doing your thing." And I
Love
wrote
it.
him back. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, when you get that from somebody who in it, that's like, all right, maybe keep going, keep going.
Mhm.
You just need that little boost. So again, I'll do that. I would like to do that for other people, but
Mhm.
he sent me that, and then I think a month later, or something, Peyton Manning had said his name on TV, and I thought that was funny, so I sent him a DM. I was like, "Hey man, congratulations on Peyton and them saying your name on ESPN."
Yeah.
He was like, "Thanks man, yada yada." And then like 5 minutes later, he was like, "Let's hop on the car," because he got the Fantasy Life
Mhm.
company. He's like, "Let's hop on the car. Let's see how we could work together." We ended up talking, and I also ended up doing some Fantasy Life work as a freelancer too. So I was very fortunate. And now, mind you, I was still working my regular job. I used to drive the trucks.
Mhm.
But I had a freelance gig from Fantasy Life, NBC Sports, Roto World, and it was cool. You make your content, and Matthew Berry always retweeted. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that was solid. But then came a point in time when NBC was like, "Hey, we want to give you the full-time job as a fantasy football analyst." So in doing that, I had to give up the Fantasy Life thing,
Yeah.
you know. And I was like, "Hey, man, they just offered me this job right here." And before I got the words out, he's like, "You got to take that, and
Oh.
we'll have you back when we could pay you what they do."
Mhm.
So that was cool. I was like, "Yeah, I was gonna do it anyway."
Yeah.
This is like, we're talking about getting me out of my regular 9 to 5.
Mhm.
So I was gonna do it anyway. But
Yeah.
so then that happens, and everything is good. I had met up with Matthew once the NFL draft 2022. So we just met and was hanging out just to catch the vibe. And then he hit that tweet that was like, "This is my last week at ESPN." Now, I had an inkling that this was gonna happen, but I didn't know for sure. And my relationship with him at the time wasn't solid enough to where I'd be like, "Hey man, what you gonna do?"
Right.
You know. um but he put that out, and then like 10 minutes later, I got 3 text messages from people who do know something. They was like, "I think this dude gonna be at NBC." And so even when I got them messages, I ain't tell nobody, and I didn't even tell him I knew that. I was just like, "All right." So you gotta know, if he go to NBC, they gonna have a TV show. Cause
Yeah.
Roto World, NBC Fantasy didn't have no TV show.
Mhm.
We got a podcast, which is the
Right.
Roto World football show. And I'm thinking like, well, I already know this dude, so woo de woo, he ends up coming there, but I didn't get on TV immediately. It took a while. Um, and they almost didn't plan to have any of us on there. But I said, you know what? And this is, I should have talked about controlling what you can control. That's what I
Right.
should have talked about earlier. I said, I'm going to use my resource. So I said, hey, Matthew, one day after you doing the show, let's make a social media video about Kyle Pitts. And he was like, yeah, cool. So I'm an hour from the studio. I drove the hour to make a 15-minute video with him that came out to be 1 minute. We made the video. It did really well. And that played a part in me getting on the show, because now
Wow.
I showed them that I could work with him and that there's some chemistry there. And Matthew, I think the reason he is where he is because he did different things in fantasy to get to this point. Like he used to use a puppet at ESPN. And now I'm probably the last dude you would have thought like on a fantasy show with Matthew Berry, but Matthew thinking outside the box already. He like, well, let me get this dude who giving us a whole different vibe, but still talking about fantasy football and betting. So,
Yeah.
you know, now we here, and yeah, it's definitely fun. You know, he be cracking on me, and I do the same to him. We could both take it from each
Mhm.
other, so that's good.
When he first DM'd you, Matthew Berry sliding into your DMs, do you think you're being pranked at all? Do you think it's a fake account?
No, I didn't think it was no
Okay.
fake account, because it was clear. Because he already was following me,
Okay.
but I'm also not the type to be like screenshot it and be like, hey y'all,
Totally.
Matthew follow, like, but I ain't knocking that. That's just not me.
Totally.
We both men, you know what I'm saying? We both human men. But no, I didn't think it was because because he sent me something uh fantasy related that I've done, and the words he typed, it was just like that sound like how he would talk. So
Uh-huh. Okay. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
I'm always curious about that because I've fallen victim to
Yeah,
some
it definitely is probably stuff like that more often than not.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you didn't go through that, and good for you.